You're listening to Podketeers.
Welcome to episode 226 of Podketeers. This week we talk about visiting the Freeform house, the Hatbox Ghost tiki cups that materialize at Walt Disney World and at Disneyland, the live-action Aladdin teaser trailer, the status of the 4th hotel slated for downtown Disney. Plus, as we're gearing up for the next Teamboat Willie event, we hear from a fellow Disney fan and cancer survivor about her journey. I was sitting in the audience when she told us this story, and honestly, it was kind of difficult to keep it together. If you want to help our efforts to raise money for women's cancer research, head on over to teamboatwillie.com. Super simple to remember because it's Steamboat Willie, but without the S. Our links for making a donation or joining our team will be on that page. Remember that all it takes is $1. Imagine how far it would go if 1,000 people gave us just $1. It doesn't seem like a lot, but in the big picture, it's a huge amount towards saving someone's life. So again, if you would like to join the team or make a small donation, head on over to teamboatwillie.com for more information on how you can help us out. A special thank you goes out to Maria for allowing us to share her story, and to our friends at Inspired on Main and listener and friend of the show Carla for their donations of the Cauldron popcorn bucket and the special Steamboat Willie popcorn buckets for our auctions. Speaking of auctions, a huge thank you goes out to Bill, Eddie, and Phil who won our auctions last week on Instagram. And also, of course, a big thank you goes out to everyone that participated in the auctions. We're planning on having more charity auctions soon, so make sure that you're following us on Instagram, Facebook, and on Twitter for more info. Just search for Podketeers on those networks. Plus, if you want to find all of us using our personal social links, head on over to podketeers.com/team. Before we start this episode, thank yous are in order for our awesome Fairy Godparents, or as they like to call themselves, the FGP Squad, because it's their monthly support via Patreon that help make these episodes of Podketeers possible. If you would like to become a member of the FGP Squad, or just want a little bit more information, head on over to podketeers.com/FGP. Alright, we are ready to jump into this episode. This is episode 226 of Podketeers. I just realized my fan was on. And had I not turned it off, I'm pretty sure the entire recording would have had a Yay. It's almost Halloween, guys. We're like 2 weeks away.
Dude,
We are not ready.
can't even believe it.
Are you guys dressing up for Halloween?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Melissa, what are you dressing up as?
Wednesday Addams.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Aww.
Gavin?
I haven't planned anything yet. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. AJ and VJ?
I don't think we're dressing up, but BJ's probably going to say something as, I'm going to dress up as myself.
Get out of my head.
Was I right?
I'm just gonna recycle my famous orange shirt that says costume on it that AJ hates, and every time I wear it, I always get compliments on it, and she's like, "Oh my god!"
It's so funny
But it's the
because
best
for
costume ever.
the Halloween party, or Mickey's Halloween party, instead of getting the boys' costumes, Lynette ended up buying them just Halloween type T-shirts, right? And the one that she got for our oldest son has Pikachu on it, and then it says, "This is my Pikachu costume."
Oh, nice.
So it's very
Aw.
similar to yours.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
BJ wears that every year. Every year.
I wish I
Yep.
had one. I would
Best
wear it
$12 I ever spent.
Oh, gosh.
I actually copied it from Selena Gomez on Wizards of Waverly Place.
too. That's funny.
I was like, "That's a dope T-shirt. I'm gonna make one." I like how Melissa's gonna be Wednesday Addams on a Wednesday.
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
I was gonna say that
Wow.
earlier.
I don't
That's
even
funny.
know what day it is today,
Serendipity.
so.
I was gonna say I'm Wednesday Addams on a Tuesday.
That's funny. Hey, speaking of Halloween, you guys ended up going to that Freeform house, right?
Yes.
We did.
How was that?
Long.
It was really, really cool. It was in the middle of LA at the Lombardi House. They do a lot of events, weddings, things like that there. And they transformed it into the Freeform house.
Ooh.
Da-da-dum.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was free, so that was the cool thing about it. So if you were able to sign up, then you had, well, I think they did it from, I want to say like Thursday through Monday of this past week. We had a time to go between 8:30 and 9, but when we got there, all the time slots were just basically thrown out the window, and they just made everybody stand in this huge line. So it took about almost 2 hours to get through this line of security check and getting a wristband and signing a waiver. And then before they let you into the house,
What was the waiver for?
just so if they take pictures and you could be on.
okay.
Or video.
I thought it
Or
was like too
video.
spooky and it was going to give you like a heart attack or something.
No.
Well, I don't know. I just said, yeah, accept, sign. Let's just get this over with. But we made the mistake of not eating before because I thought we were going to be between 8:30 and 9, get out by maybe 9:30, grab something to eat. No, we didn't get it. We got there at 8:30 and we didn't get into the house till almost 11 o'clock. So,
Hi.
and then once you
Wow.
get in, then there's all these other lines to take pictures. It was basically all these cool picture spots, you know, from Oogie Boogie's lair to what else
Oh,
was
the
there?
Spiral Hill from Nightmare Before Christmas.
And the Sandersons' cottage from Hocus
Yeah.
Pocus. What else was there? Oh,
It's
you could,
Frankenstein's lab.
yeah, that was cool.
I don't know. Was it was it that? Yeah.
Or was it, no, what was the,
Frankenweenie's
what's the
lab? I
doctor
don't
from
know.
Nightmare
Oh.
Before Christmas?
Finkelstein.
Is that what it
Yeah,
said?
I think
can't
that's,
even
I think it's
remember.
actually his lab.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
That's cool.
So AJ has this thing about
I do.
food and animation.
Yes. Like, I don't know what it was, like when Cinderella was making the tea for the evil stepsisters, or what's another one? The fairy godmothers making the cake for Sleeping Beauty, and whenever Sally was like making her little soup, they had Sally's soup there with the spoon with the little holes in it. That was really
Nice.
cool. So just living my best life over there. I was so excited for that photo op.
I misunderstood. Like, I understood that you had this thing against food from cartoons or something.
No, I
Oh,
really
okay.
liked it.
I was like, that
I
seems so unlike you. I
still really
I would have
like
thought
it.
you'd be the first one to be like, ooh, cartoon food. Let's try it.
Yeah, so it was really cool. That
How
was my
was Sally's soup?
obviously my favorite. I did not try it
Oh.
Yeah.
because that would have been bad.
But they also had like the vase for the deadly nightshade.
Yeah,
And there's
frog's
this,
breath.
Nice.
yeah, there's this frog in the frog's breath with the frog inside the jar.
Is that like
Nice.
a chocolate
So
frog?
good.
I wish it was a chocolate frog.
I think these are just props, right?
Yeah, they're just
Yes.
props.
Yeah.
And you couldn't
Oh.
take them, or you couldn't pick them up to take pictures with them, which was
Except for the spoon. What?
no, yeah, except for the spoon. I was like, somebody's gonna take this spoon one of these days. Watch,
Yeah.
it's gonna be on eBay.
You never
All you
know.
have to do is drill a hole.
I know, but you
Or
know, people are
3.
gonna be like, it's authentic. It's from the movie.
Sold. Let's make a whole
Right.
bunch. We'll put them up for
the
auction.
they had the Sanderson's cottage, which had a picture spot where you could sit on the vacuum cleaner, like it's going over the moon, like in front of the moon, so it's like you're flying. They had that. They
Nice.
had the book, which the eye did not move around, so people weren't getting scared. But they had the black
Black flame
candle.
candle. Yeah, that was really cool.
Ooh.
And then also her cauldron.
Where you could
That's
actually
cool.
put some items in it, like fingers and eyeballs and stuff like that.
Dead man's toe.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So was there a line for each and every one of those single things?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh
once
my
you got
gosh.
into the house, there were
Uh-huh.
still lines to take the photos.
So how many lines did you guys stand in?
We probably only did how many pictures? 5 different picture spots.
Yeah.
Out
But a
of how
couple
many?
of them,
There's a lot. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
like about a
6,
dozen
7,
of them?
8. There was probably at least 4 or 5 at each location.
Oh.
And then they had other ones with like the tombstones of. Did you see the one where we posted of Woody and Buzz?
Yes. That was
For the listeners, the tombstone on Sheriff Woody's, it said, "The snake in his boot was real, ... and poisonous." So that was funny with the boot
Aw.
and an actual snake coming out, and
Yeah.
and Buzz Lightyear said, "Doomed for eternity and beyond."
I liked
pretty
that
funny.
one.
It was good. There was cool picture spots, but yeah, when you're standing in line for almost 2 hours just to get in, and then you have to stand in line to
And you didn't eat.
it was just because we were hangry. And they had Butterfingers there. There was a ton of Butterfingers, and nobody ate them. They were giving them away.
We should
they
have
should
taken
have
a
had
photo.
Snickers. If they had
Yeah.
people standing
Oh.
in line and they were getting hangry, Snickers would have been the bar they needed.
I definitely wasn't feeling like myself.
Snickers with almonds.
I think
Have
we
you
need to
guys-
take a Snickers break.
Have you seen that commercial? Where
Which
the
one?
guys are driving in the car and one of them's like, I love this new Snickers with almonds. He's like, almonds. It's like, that's what I said, almonds. He's like,
haven't seen that
almonds.
one.
He's like, almonds. That's what
Is
I
it
said.
brand
And he
new?
throws them out of the car.
Is that a newer one?
Yeah.
I think the latest one I've seen is the Elton John one, where he's rapping.
I haven't seen
Wait,
that
what?
one.
I haven't seen that one either.
These guys are doing a rap battle, and then one guy is Elton John, and he starts singing. And they're like, "Whoa, what are you doing?" "Nah, man, have a Snickers. He ain't yourself." And then all of a sudden he starts rapping.
Those are funny.
Classic.
But yeah, it was a cool experience. I mean, if you're one of those must do it for the Instagram, this was, your cup of tea. But for us, we were like, okay, that's great. We get it. Let's just go.
It's kind of
It was
sad that
really
they gave you a
fun, though.
fast pass and then they were all like, stand in line.
Yeah. I mean, if it was just like I don't even know why they had you wait in that long line if you were going to be waiting in lines inside. But, that's what they did.
That's pretty horrible.
But we got cool pictures out of it, and they were free. And the whole event was free, so that was good. But this one, it took a while for it to fill up. But it eventually, quote unquote, sold out.
Oh, yeah. By the time we tried, but then again, in all fairness, I did try the next day after you sent it to me. I tried because I was trying to figure out if Lynette and I could go, and we were trying to figure out the logistics of, work and picking up the kids and all that stuff. But by the time we had made a decision, the tickets were sold out for the 2 days that we would have had a chance to go. And so we ended up not going.
I think whenever you get a Disney thing, you just sign up. Like, I did not even hesitate. I just picked the time. Like, okay, Sunday, sure, 8:30. Cool. Because I was afraid it was going to sell out. And I was telling all our friends, do 8:30 to 9. And then one of them was actually saying, oh, I could only get 8 to 8:30. I'm like, fine, we'll all go at 8:30 at the same time. But yeah, anytime you get a Disney, like, if the tweet comes out or Disney Parks blog puts out something or anything Disney, I'm just like, put in my name. What am I signing up for? I don't know.
That's like
Pretty
when you
much.
stand in line and you
He's
don't know what
not
it's
lying.
for.
Exactly.
Right.
Come on, they could be charging me $400. I would not even know because I just signed up.
Hashtag bow, 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 pro tip.
Nicely
But seriously, they need to do raffles for those things.
Yeah,
I
like in
agree.
Tokyo, the lottery.
done. Yeah, I agree because it seems like the people that are just camping out, like, hovering like vultures, they all swoop in and buy it up, and the people that, don't have the ability to haunt the internet like that, or have the day off,
Right.
because they usually do it like at weird times, right?
Yeah.
It's never like, oh, hey, this Saturday afternoon when everybody's off work, we're going to release this.
Yeah, it's like
It's
a
always at a
Tuesday
terrible
morning.
time.
You're like,
Right.
what?
Agree.
Exactly.
Or maybe they should do, like, for the Halloween parties, they should do different date, like, just put them out on different days for different dates.
Yeah.
Like
that would
stagger
work.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Because the only other way I know you could get a ticket going to the Halloween parties is if you stay at one of the hotels.
Oh, that's
That's
right.
true.
That's
You can
right.
still
That's
get
true.
tickets if you're at a
Yeah,
hotel?
even the night of, you could still get. Well,
Wow.
I know last year and the year before, we had friends that stayed at the hotel, and they're like, "Hey, do you want tickets?" We're like, "It's sold out." They're like, "No, you could still buy them if you're staying at the hotel."
Wow.
Well, I'm glad you guys had a chance to go. It looks like it was super fun. I would have wanted to ride around on a vacuum. It just seems like
Yeah.
like the fun thing to do on Halloween. Like, who needs a broom? I got a vacuum. It's got more horsepower behind it. Just zoom through the air with those sparkles shooting out the back. It's great. I love it. Hey, I wanna pivot the conversation a little bit because, as you guys know, Melissa and I, huge fans of the Hatbox Ghost.
Yes.
And Walt Disney World released a tiki mug with the Hatbox Ghost.
What?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Doesn't even make sense.
the internet basically lost its collective
Head.
mind. Yeah, that's a
That's a
nice
good
way
way
of
to
putting
say
it. Yeah. And including me. I think Melissa and I were both kind of going nuts over the whole process. And I remember just texting people frantically. Can you get this for me? Are you? Can you? And can you?
Just like that.
Good thing they
And-
didn't hear that in the text.
I'm pretty sure they did.
Was it a
I'm
voice
pretty sure
note?
I spelled out AAA,
Capital A.
capital A,
Lowercase A.
lowercase q, silent R, AAA. So we were frantically trying to get somebody to get these for us. And somebody told me something that was very interesting. I wasn't able to get confirmation on this, but if this is true, I think it's going to change the game of how they distribute or sell these limited edition products. My buddy Rich, shout out to my buddy Rich, who's out at Walt Disney World right now. I sent him a message and I said, hey, can you try to get these? It's a limit of 2. I want one for me and one for my friend Melissa. He said, all right, where do they have it? It's at the Polynesian. He said, all right, cool. They made the trek all the way to the Polynesian. And this was early in the afternoon. And he got back to me maybe 3 hours later and he said, hey, so we made the trek to the Polynesian and they said that they sold out for the day, that we should come back tomorrow to get one. And that was an interesting comment to me because it made me feel that they're regulating how much they put out into the world on a daily basis, basically allowing more people the opportunity to purchase this. I think that's pretty awesome if this is actually true.
Well, like VJ mentioned, they have done it a little bit with the in-park, like souvenir buckets and sippers and things like that, where they've, trickled them out, like an allotted amount per day. So maybe with some of these limited edition collectible items, they've decided to do the same thing. And I agree, it makes a lot of sense as far as fairness is concerned. And it makes me hopeful that, we'll be able to, get some of those limited items. Because right now, like when we were at the parks to celebrate our little Mickey's 90th anniversary party, right? That was the day they released that Funko of the Hitchhiking Ghost.
Tears.
And that sucker was sold out within like an hour or two of opening in all 3 locations. And there was no more ever again. And it seems like if they would have spread it out, then, maybe those collector people walking out with giant trash bags full of them.
Only 5 people got to buy them.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Right.
Yeah, we talked about it before. Just kind of, it puts a damper on the magic, on the coolness of, being able to acquire something neat like that at the park. And if they can find a way to let the real fans, the people who want it most for themselves, to get it, then that's the way to go.
I like how they were limiting it to 2 per person. Or would you rather see that, like a limit of 2, or just produce way more so everybody could have it and not make it so limited?
Yeah, I was surprised at how limited that Hitchhiking Ghost Funko was. That was supremely limited to me. And you'd think they would know when they have something that'll sell hand over fist.
Right.
Like a Hatbox Ghost tiki mug. They could sell tens of thousands of these things within the first year if they wanted to. But it just seems like, it's kind of always been the Disney tradition to play in that realm of exclusivity. You know, they do
Yeah.
it with the vault. You know, they want to keep their movies a little bit exclusive. Like, you can't just go
Right.
into any store on any day and get any Disney movie. And I think that's kind of part of their brand. But I think they do need to expand a little bit. Yeah, they need to do bigger runs. Even if it's limited, that it needs to be a larger run. I mean, I think that Hatbox Ghost Funko, or the Hitchhiking Ghost Funko is the best example so far, because, I mean, that was so limited and so many people that truly wanted it. Now their only option is to pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars
On
you
eBay.
know, by some scalper basically on eBay.
Yeah.
And that's just not magical at all. And so it ruins the whole point of it.
I see companies like Funko, because it's not owned by Disney, doing like the limited, only 10,000 made. But
Yeah.
with the Hatbox Ghost Cup, I mean, make 300,000 of those things. They're all gonna sell,
Right.
You know? And even if they don't sell and they end up at Company D, they're still gonna sell.
Sure.
You know, and they're still gonna make the money they spent on it.
I wonder if we're ever going to see the day where they're only going to allow one per pass or one per ticket.
That'd be
Yeah.
awesome.
That would
Because
be
at this
great.
point, it's getting ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like how we have to either camp out or we've got to sacrifice so much more to just grab one of these items. It's been frustrating as a huge mansion fan to not be able to grab these items, even while being at the park on that day. So I just hope like something comes out. I really like that there's only 2 limit.
Yeah.
You know, that's cool.
Yeah.
I just would like to see it a little bit more easier for those who would really treasure those items.
Sure.
Yeah.
Or if it sells really quickly and really fast and they're like, oh, this was a hot item. Because I get it. Sometimes you don't know if a product is going to work, right? With a limited edition Disney product, it's pretty much guaranteed. But
Right.
you never know. It'd be nice if they said, okay, here's the limited first edition of whatever. Let's just say 1,000. And they sell out in 20 minutes. Then they're like, okay, this is hot stuff. Let's go ahead and put this into production. And then they come out with, whatever, a second edition, which, is non-numbered and non-exclusive. Maybe there was an embellishment on the exclusive first 1,000. Then they just put a regular edition out there and they can make tons of money on that. And then everybody can get it,
Yeah.
And it may not have like, a little hand-painted flourish, that they would have added to the exclusive ones. But otherwise, it's essentially the exact same thing.
Right.
I don't know why they don't do more stuff like that, because that Funko or this tiki mug, which we're talking about, they could sell over and over and over and over again.
You actually brought up a good point, the Pirate Steins.
Yes.
The first editions that came out actually had like a gold tint over them. And now these that they finally had sold and they're now sold out, they had more of a reddish hue. So I wonder if they could do that. I love that point that you just brought out.
Yeah, it could be something just as simple as the numbering aspect. Honestly, I love that approach way more than what you mentioned earlier about producing more of the product, because that's the whole point of having something limited. The whole point of having a collectible is that there aren't that many out in the world, and the
True.
more that you produce with the collectible moniker, then you've just devalued the product. If you create a first edition, then that's great. You release the first edition, like you said, they're numbered maybe, and then the global pressing that goes to everybody doesn't have the numbering on it. It could be something that simple. I'm okay with them, like with the Funko, the Haunted Mansion one. I'm okay that they produced that amount because it is a limited edition item. I just didn't like how they handled the distribution and how many people could purchase. I think it would have been just better if it limited to one. And like Melissa said, if we ever get to a point where they have to scan your AP and you can only buy one per annual pass, that's fantastic. Because it does allow you that buffering where more people will end up with the product. And if you know somebody that doesn't want it but is willing to buy it for you, then great. But at least they only got one and they didn't leave with 10. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I like that. I think that's a really great way to approach it. And I hope that Disney does take that route in the future, especially with these limited edition products. I mean, as Mansion fans, Right now we're seeing a couple of these things, but this is the shallow end of the pool. We're approaching the anniversary of the mansion next year, and it's a big anniversary, and we are going to be drowning in Haunted Mansion gear next year.
We're gonna be broke.
And then we have the expo, and my pockets cannot take this.
I was gonna mention, I get the whole limited thing, but these things aren't numbered, right? Like the Stein or these Hatbox mugs. Like, how do you know what the number edition is?
The Hatbox Ghost mug at Disney World has something that distinguishes it as such.
It'll say like 1 out of 10,000 or 1 out of, you know what I mean?
It
like
doesn't
it'll
say
actually
that
be
it's
numbered.
I remember reading something on the bottom that made it seem that like it was a special edition run. We'd have to verify it. If somebody can send us a picture, if you got one, can you let us know what it says on the bottom? Like, even if it doesn't, I think that just goes to our point that if it did, it would help with the exclusivity of the product. I mean, the biggest, right now, part of the exclusivity is the one that is available currently at Walt Disney World. The cup itself doesn't have a face. The face is down in the hat box. And this last week, we found out that Disneyland is getting the Tiki Cup too, and people lost it, but most people didn't realize that the one at Disneyland has the face on the body and not in the hat box. So that's already 2 different versions of the cup. So one is exclusive to Disneyland, the other one's exclusive to Walt Disney World.
That's
cool.
really cool.
That's cool.
I'm glad
Yeah.
they did that.
How about if they, because you know how they release like all the people on Instagram, besides the ones they buy, they're like, oh, I got it first. Look at me, hashtag. But if they release it, like say this, Hatbox Ghost mug, like on Disney Parks blog, and you could pre-order it, like some of the games you could buy, so then they know how many to make. So then everybody gets it, because I get the whole limited thing, but I mean, nobody's really buying it. If you're a lover for mansion and everything, you're buying it because you love the mansion. You're not buying it because it's a limited thing. You know what I mean? I think it's different for Disney fans buying something because they love that thing. It reminds them of their childhood or whatever happy memory they have with it. It's not really I'm buying it because it's 1 out of 10,000. Does that make sense?
I mean, I've bought stuff like that though.
But you bought it because it was limited or because you love the item?
Kind of both. I mean,
okay.
For people that have been listening to the podcast for a while, you guys know that I'm a huge Magic fan.
Magic Johnson? Cool.
Yes, Magic Johnson, yes.
Sports.
Sports!
There we go.
Glad we got that sorted out.
Exactly. I would say about 6 to 8 years ago, Magic had this mini resurgence. And so in order to capitalize on that, a lot of companies were working with the United States Playing Card Company and making custom decks of cards with different designs, different colors, and different facings. And it was insane how many custom decks you could get. There was one deck that got super insanely popular called the Ghost deck. It was all black cards with white pips. The first run was limited, and so they capitalized on it and sold each deck for like $15 a piece. When they experimented with the cards, for instance, they used different formulations for the coating that goes on it. So they glide better for doing certain types of tricks, but it gets expensive. So then they do a second run that's less expensive with the general coating that's out for the public, like you were talking about, Gavin. And now they sold the second edition of the Ghost deck for like $5 a pop at Target. Right, so that's how it kind of came. But then there was slight differences, like some of the pips were slightly changed or they were smaller. Visual differences in the deck that if you knew just by glancing at it, you knew, yeah, you have a first edition or a second edition. And I think that goes to what you were saying, Gavin. If they made it just different enough, where the limited ones, like you can clearly tell, like, oh, well, this one has brown painting in the tiki to make it look like this, and then the second run has like, oh, well, this one has green grass on it, like that would be the differentiating factor. So they could do tons of things, but I think with technology the way that it is now, I think we're more likely to see something where 3D printing is getting insanely cheap. And so we might even get to a point where instead of pre-ordering like this specific mug where they say, oh, hey, let's see how many we pre-order, maybe in your pre-order process, you type in your name and a portion of it has like a little placard where your name is engraved or printed on the cup itself. And so they're all custom printed going forward. You know what I mean?
That'd be cool.
So
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Then it's a limit of one of one.
One of one, unless you have like a name like John, right? Then they could pre-print all the Bort ones, all the John ones, and then they just have them available. But how many Hazens are they going to have?
100,000 Hazens.
But they're all mine. I will never run out.
Well, hopefully you're able to get one of these mugs when it comes out on Tuesday.
Oh, we're going to try.
I wish I could be there. I have a meeting early that morning at work, and I can't really get out of that one, so I have to be there. And it starts at 8. Trader Sam's is opening at 7 for people to be able to purchase this. So I'm assuming people are going to be lining up in an hour.
Well, if it's only 2, limit per 2, then hopefully it'll still be a lot left. I mean, I just found out I don't have work on Tuesday, so maybe I might just go with Gavin.
Oh, yeah, we can hang out in line.
There you go.
And then we'll sell them on the side.
Get a
It's already
cocktail
sold
at 9.
out.
Well, my original goal was to get one for me and for Melissa when my buddy Rich was out in Walt Disney World. But if I had the opportunity to go get this on Tuesday, I would buy the 2, one for me and one for us to auction off for Teamboat Willie. Because it is one of those products where, just like I mentioned with the other auctions that we had, if you live in Southern California or you live anywhere within the vicinity of Walt Disney World, you can easily get one of these products if you can make it to the park or know somebody that can make it or a cast member. But once you go out of state, it's almost impossible for you to collect these items unless you want to pay the inflated eBay price. When the idea came up to auction these items off, I thought, well, that's great. I mean, if somebody's willing to pay the $80 or $90 for one of these products, at least we're putting it towards something good, right? We're putting it towards something that's going to save somebody's life. And while we're on that subject, I just want to say thank you to everybody that participated in our auctions this last weekend. We had a really great response, and I think we might be able to do this one more time before the actual walk. We might have some more items for sale that will benefit our fundraiser. But thank you, everybody. I want to thank the winners of the auctions. You guys are amazing. Thank you for just being there, being engaged, telling people about the auctions. One of the funniest things I saw was the back and forth for the Steamboat Willie popcorn bucket. I mean, we brought in a good amount of money for that one. Melissa, you found an amazing product to auction off, so thank you for that.
You're welcome. And actually, a big thank you to Carla. Carla's the one that got us the bucket. She actually drove nearly 2 hours to get this bucket for us.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, so shout out to Carla.
Yes.
Heck
indeed.
yeah.
And you could find her on Instagram at the Disney Fashionista. This is all thanks to her, and we were so excited and giddy to just raise some funds for this cause.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So we'll put a link to Carla's Instagram account in the blog post for the episode, podketeers.com/226. Make sure that you go over, give her a follow, say thank you. She's got a really good stream. She likes to cosplay, and she does a lot of Disney bounding as well. I remember when I met her was for Villains Day, and she was dressed as Dr. Facilier. So, I mean, she does a really good job with her Disney bounds. So, Carla, thank you so much. You've made a huge difference, and you've contributed to saving somebody's life. So, thank you very much for your help. Speaking of which, I wanted to bring up a couple of things since we're talking about Teamboat Willie and we're talking about our fundraising efforts. I don't know if you guys knew this, but Walt Disney was connected with City of Hope many, many years ago.
Wow.
I wouldn't have known that.
No idea.
Hey, I worked there and I didn't know.
Fun fact.
And so we were researching a bunch of stuff, and it somehow came up that there was some videos where they're celebrating the opening of the Disneyland Hotel, and there's a fundraiser for City of Hope at the same time. And so there's one clip that we found where Walt Disney walks over to the host and he starts talking about how the City of Hope has done, a lot to help a lot of people and that he's happy to have help with this. And I thought, whoa, there's like a huge connection here, especially now that Disney is the sponsor putting on Walk for Hope this year. I tried to get permission to play the audio clip for that. You guys are aware that Disney didn't own the hotels for a really long time, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So the company that owned the hotels, they were really good friends with Walt. The owners were good friends with him. And so when Walt was building Disneyland, he didn't have money to build a hotel. He said, hey, you guys build it. We'll work this out. And it wasn't until around 2008 where Disney acquired the hotels, when the family sold the Disney company all the rights to all of what they owned. And so all this video for this, I forgot what they called it, Telerama, I think is what they called it, was all owned by the hotel company. And so I was trying to figure out who to ask for permission to allow us to play the video and to rebroadcast it, basically. And it comes down to Disney now owns the footage because it all went to the Disney company because it was owned by the hotel owners originally. So I haven't gotten an official word on whether or not we can replay that or whether we can get a copy to rebroadcast this or, show it to our listeners. But remember I told you guys that we had the breakfast where I met Bob Chapek and stuff because he was there to talk about everything. We had a patient there who is just weeks away at this point from being 10 years in remission. And that's huge because at the time there wasn't a lot of hope for the stage that she was in. And so she was admitted to City of Hope, and she talked a little bit about how the day before she was going to start treatment, she said, you know what, before we do this, I don't want to be in chemo, I don't want this, I don't want that, I want to go to Disneyland. And so she spent the day at Disneyland with her family, and then the next day she started it. I could tell you all about this, and honestly, I don't think it would mean anything coming from me, but I did speak with her. Her name is Maria. She's a super nice person. She did give me permission to play her story on the podcast. And so if you guys would allow us to, we want to share Maria's story with you guys. I got super emotional listening to her, and I kind of get like that listening to some of the families talk about what they've been through and how they suffered, how their kids have suffered, how and so I wanted to share that with you guys. So we're gonna switch over to Maria's speech right now.
I have my pink Mickey pen with me today and the Latin version of a princess outfit. So here I am. First, thank you, Vincent, for that great introduction. I will do my best. But thank you, Bob, for your leadership, and Disney for your sponsorship. It's incredible how much you have put into this, and I know how much more you are still going to be working to make this the best and most profitable and notable walk to date. So, good morning, everyone. Today marks the official kickoff for the 2018 Walk for Hope, and I am honored and thrilled to have been asked to be the first Walk for Hope ambassador. So, hey, me. In preparation for today, I went back and reviewed the notes I took during those very first consultations because I think I blocked a lot of those moments out. For me, everything stood still after hearing the words, "You have cancer." I was diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer, as well as being told that I carried the BRCA1 gene. To give you an idea of what that means, I did a little research, and I found that in 2008, just 1 year before I was diagnosed, a published study found that women with an abnormal BRCA1 gene had a worse prognosis than women with an abnormal BRCA2 gene 5 years after diagnosis. And just last month, another publication stated that triple negative breast cancer tends to be more aggressive than other types of breast cancer. Studies have shown that triple negative breast cancer is more likely to spread beyond the breast and more likely to reoccur after treatment. So now consider being a 33-year-old and diagnosed with triple-negative breast cancer and told you carried the BRCA1 gene. That was my reality. The prognosis didn't feel very promising, but I was here at City of Hope, and so I clinged to that name, and I had hope that I would beat the odds. I underwent almost 6 months of chemotherapy, numerous surgeries, and physical therapy. I was and am the type of person that smiles and likes to laugh a lot. I love being around people and having a good time. So knowing what I was facing and anticipating some very tough days ahead, I refused to start chemo before I went to Disneyland. And Dr. Mortimer could vouch for that because I told her, no, we need to reschedule that. So my cousin went out and she got me some tickets and off we went with an Hakuna Matata attitude. Can you tell? Dr. Mortimer's my doctor, we share that same joking style. I was soaking wet all day from Splash Mountain. I lost my voice in a mad tea party, sang along in It's a Small World, and took a rest on the Disneyland Railroad. I enjoyed every last second of that day until the park closed and we were very kindly escorted off the park. Now I think cancer patients should get a little more time on that park after dark. So Bob, if you know anyone that can make that happen, just kind of putting it out there. But that very next day, no matter how tired and no voice I had, I started my chemo. That was almost 10 years ago, but I'm here, standing here today. I can't look at my mom because I'll start crying. But I'm here because of you and your incredible generosity and the devotion you all have for City of Hope. I didn't have an easy time during my treatments. In actuality, it was incredibly difficult. But I did my best to make it through each day with a smile and a joke. I've had an amazing support of family and friends. 3 of the most important people in my life are here with me today. My mom, my brother, and my boyfriend. The rest are sending their virtual applause and high fives. They have seen me through some very highs and have held me up during my lowest lows. In nearly 10 years of my journey, I have lost 2 aunts to ovarian cancer. I've had 2 very good friends beat it. I've had 1 dear City of Hope friend lose her battle with breast cancer. 1 aunt, 1 cousin, and 17 friends have survived it. City of Hope doesn't just treat cancer. They discover new, innovative treatments. It is a research facility and is highly regarded as one of the nation's leading cancer treatment centers. It takes so much research and doctors to discover new treatments, procedures, and protocols. And it takes patients like myself to join the clinical trials to make things like that happen. But it takes funding, and that's where you guys come in. I volunteered for every clinical trial that I was a candidate for, and I was fortunate that they worked. I recently started seeing commercials for those clinical trial drugs, and they are now standard protocol. They were part of history, just as we were. That is mind-blowing to me. It gave me the shivers the very first time I saw those commercials because I was a part of that clinical trial that is now saving countless of lives. That is what your donations and fundraising does. You are saving lives. I was so incredibly grateful for this second chance that I looked for ways to give back. It started with me bringing candy to my entire team at the Women's Center in October. It was my small way of saying thank you. But then I learned I could do something that would impact the entire patient population here at City of Hope. I joined the Patient and Family Advisory Council, lovingly referred to as the PFAC, about 8 years ago. Our mission is to make recommendations based on our knowledge and personal experience to elevate the medical care and support services for patients and family members at City of Hope. In April of this year, I completed my 2-year term as chair for that council. I am currently the co-chair for the Patient Family Advisory Council for the Comprehensive Cancer Center Consortium of Quality Improvement, also known as C4QI. I represent City of Hope on this committee as well. The mission there is, for the work group, is to develop best practices and guidelines for PFAS, specifically in the context of cancer care. I am also on the Alliance of Dedicated Cancer Centers Committee, where I am also representing the patient voice on behalf of City of Hope. I have been a peer mentor to young breast cancer patients that needed to speak to someone they knew had gone through and had faced what they were now facing. They could share their experience, concerns, and fears during that very difficult time. Cancer treatments are grueling and can take so much from you, but the passion everyone at the Women's Center has for their work and the way patients are treated are why City of Hope is one of the nation's leading cancer institutes. The ultimate purpose of this walk is to raise money so these talented doctors and researchers can do the work they do and continue to save lives. I am living proof that your donations and fundraising efforts work. Let's dream big this year and make it the biggest and best we can, and put all those donations to work and keep saving lives by finding better treatments, ways to diagnose sooner, and the ultimate dream to one day find a cure. It's every little girl's dream to share the stage with the Disney character that make up our childhood memories. And since I am still, and always will be, my mom's little girl, I can't wait until November 4th when I get to realize that little girl's dream. My dream, however, as a breast cancer survivor, that in a few short months we'll be celebrating her 10-year remission, is to be a part of the process, and journey to one day cure cancer. Before I go, I want to leave you with one of my favorite Disney character quotes from Cinderella. If you keep on believing, the dreams that you wish will come true. So again, thank you.
So Maria, thank you very much for allowing us to share your story. If you guys are interested in helping us out for our fundraiser for Teamboat Willie, head on over to teamboatwillie.com. You will find links to donate to our team there. You can also join the team and help us raise some money. You can donate to any of our individual fundraising pages. You'll find all the links there. To everybody that's helped contribute, who bid on the auctions, who's going to bid on our future auctions, anybody that's bought any of Gavin's Inktober drawings, you guys are amazing. You guys are all making a positive impact in this world. We truly appreciate your support, and let's keep going.
Heck yeah.
Agreed.
Okay, so before we talked about that patient, you mentioned the Disneyland Hotel and a bit of its history. And we got some big news from the Disney company regarding its forthcoming hotel.
We have a theme!
Right?
Drum roll.
Drum roll,
So
please.
enthusiastic.
They're not building the hotel.
Hotel of Neverland.
Right?
Oh.
It's an imaginary hotel. It's like Elliot.
So
So
bad.
But Elliot's real.
With almost as many
that's
lights.
true. You're right. Yeah, so it's weird because this was going to totally reshape that whole end of the Disneyland resort. So now it's almost like I feel kind of unfulfilled, even though I wasn't that excited about the hotel, but I just feel like, well, shoot, now what? So I'm interested to see what is going to be in the future for that part of the resort. But we know that they're temporarily reopening Earl of Sandwich.
That's bad.
Maybe that will become permanent. Maybe the other locations that they closed will reopen as well. Haven't heard anything yet. But what do you guys think about this? Do you think that they're just going to rework it and find a way in the future to build another hotel? Or, I don't know what to make of this, really.
It's pretty interesting because the elections, there's going to be 3 seats opening, so we don't know what's going to happen if anything were to happen. Maybe they may change their mind, maybe they may continue, I don't know. But there was a comment that I had seen on Facebook by Sam, and I agreed with her. She had mentioned something along the line of just revamping downtown Disney. Give it some life. Personally, I've seen the food trucks there that they've had by the stage that's no longer there.
It's still there.
Oh, it's still there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, they had food trucks there, to kind of give it some life. I miss the liveliness. I miss having to go to the movie theaters, just different options.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If the hotel's not going to happen, just let's give some life, something. It's just sad. It's just overall just a sad situation.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like they're, on that note, they're bringing in some new locations and, new businesses to downtown Disney with Salt and Straw. And, last year they brought in The Void. And, some of that is great. But I do think that downtown Disney as a whole needs to be plussed and just totally revamped, and new life needs to be brought in there. So maybe this will be the impetus to do that. And that to me would be very exciting if they, could make it seem a little more contemporary. There is a little envy I think we all have with Disney Springs in Florida, which looks
Agreed.
just incredible. I really would love to visit that. So yeah, I think that's an area of the resort here that's definitely lacking. And now that they're not going to do this hotel, they obviously had a crap ton of money set aside for it. So
Right.
Where's that money going to go? It's going to
Star
go
Wars
somewhere.
Land.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Well,
I understand.
I mean,
It could
it
go
may
up
go
to
to
building
Marvel.
more Marvel-themed entertainment.
Yeah, it may go to
Yeah.
Marvel, but I think a chunk of it should definitely be invested in downtown Disney.
If I had a pick, I would bring in Deluxe Burger from
Ooh.
Disney Springs, because there's only
Yes.
one in the nation.
Owned and operated by Disney.
So
Wow.
and their
Their burgers.
the burgers
are
and the fries
amazing.
and the sauces.
Their
the
fries
sauces.
take like 3 days to make.
Yeah, it's
What?
a 3-day
Oh,
process for
They're
these fries.
so good.
They're aged.
Wow.
They're aged fries.
Yes, they are.
They're flash fried, they're blanched, it's just ridiculous, but a really
Wow.
good spot. But yeah, we definitely need more restaurants, because we were just there last night to try out Salt and Straw, I thought it was great.
Bomb. We've had it before, but we're really excited for this new option. New ice cream.
Ice cream with bugs.
Hey,
It was good.
I will say that
Wait, what?
Okay, so a little detour real quick because food. So at Salt and Straw, they have 3 limited edition flavors, and one of them has real bugs in it. We're talking chocolate covered crickets and toffee something mealworms. I tried it, and it's a grass green matcha ice cream.
Ooh.
And it was really good. If you close your eyes, you could not taste anything.
Even
Is
when you
that
open
because
your eyes, you don't
VJ
taste
ate your
Even
ice
when-
cream?
You couldn't
That way you
even
can't
really,
taste anything?
You couldn't even see like crickets. It was just like chunks of
It's
chocolate.
like for you, Hazen. Have you ever had like a Mexican dish where you're like, oh, this is really good, but you don't know what's in it, and then you find out, you're like, oh. Like for Filipinos,
No.
we have chocolate meat, which is no chocolate and no meat. I won't say what's in it, but
You
as a
could
kid, I
Google
was
it.
like, wow, this is really good. And when I found out what's in it, I was like, never again.
I don't get very squeamish about this, like foods, because honestly, there are parts of the world where people find this as their daily meals, right?
yeah,
This
for
is how
sure.
they sustain themselves. So obviously, if they can live off of this, there's something to it.
Yeah, Timon and Pumbaa eat this all the time too.
they
yeah,
are
I mean-
cartoons.
Earlier this year, our buddy brought us different boxes of like chocolate covered grasshoppers and salt and vinegar grasshoppers and all these different animals to try because he thought it was going to be so funny. And then we tried them all and he's like, they didn't make you sick? I was like, no, they taste like salt and vinegar chips, but a little bit more on the sunflower seed
Tastes like
side.
chicken.
Yeah.
It's like
More
it's
protein.
Fine. It doesn't taste that bad. I think you have to just get into the mindset that people live off of this. And if you were ever stuck in the woods, this is what you would want to live off of too. So you just
Chocolate
have to
covered
try everything.
grasshoppers
Yeah,
for sure.
that's what I'm saying. And so you gotta just be open minded about it. And
No,
if
it
you
was-
try it and you
it
don't
was
like
good.
it, then okay, you don't like it. But
Yeah.
I'm not the type of person to be like, oh no, there's legs in there. Oh no, there's wings. I'll give it a try. It's good.
This takes a whole new meaning to slimy yet satisfying.
Yeah.
That's why I can't stop laughing.
Well, my question is, do you think they could have gotten away with such a flavor before they closed It's a Bug's Land?
Yes.
I don't
That's
know.
where all the bugs are now.
I would have themed it. I would have themed it. I would have been like, this is Flicks Pistachio.
That's actually really
You
funny.
ate Hopper. He was right. Us humans are killing him.
Oh, man.
He was right all along.
But yeah, they should open up more restaurants at Downtown Disney. They should plus
Yeah.
it.
Well,
I am
obviously.
agreeing to that.
Look at who's talking.
I know,
It's
for
us.
But yeah, when you're paying $20, or was it $12 an hour, and there's not that many things to spend $20 to get validation at, it's like the movie theaters. That was a no-brainer. You could just go there and you're fine, you know. But yeah, unless you're eating at Naples or any of the other places that actually wait. If you spend $20 anywhere at Downtown Disney, you get validation, right?
Yeah, because I bought
I
stuff at the
believe
Lego
so.
store, and that's enough to get validated.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want, because before it used to be you had to get a validation stamp at certain places. You couldn't just get it anywhere, right?
Oh yeah.
It was mostly the eateries.
Like
you had
sit
to
down.
sit down for a meal or at the movies.
Right. Okay. So anyway, but yeah, more restaurants. Yay.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I would say more immersive restaurants too. Like talking about Disney Springs, they have amazing restaurants like the Boathouse. I mean, obviously we can't have anything like that with aqua cars because there's no space for it. But something like
water.
or water, something like that, or paddlefish.
Ooh, Raglan Road.
Or Raglan Row,
That'd be
like
cool.
where they have live dancers and performers.
Ooh.
I think every night, basically, and
Yeah.
it's an Irish pub. So
Ooh.
something fun, something interesting that you can't just do anywhere.
Yeah, bring
Well-
bring another House of Blues type of thing back.
And
Yeah,
it
something like
seems like
that.
they were already going to consume a lot of the pre-existing Downtown Disney parking for the hotel. So maybe they can even expand Downtown Disney into that
Ooh,
area.
that'd be cool.
And
That'd be really
instead of,
cool.
replacing what's there, use some of that area for some of these more expansive ideas that you're talking about. Because if you need room for, dancers and stuff, you got to have a pretty big restaurant, right? So
Yeah.
maybe they can use some of that area, which would have been where the hotel sits and now is going to be nothing.
Yeah, that's true because they are making a bridge to go from the structure to Downtown Disney,
Yeah,
so you
the
won't even need the
pedestrian bridge.
parking anymore.
Right.
That I'm sure Disney's listening.
They're going to post about it tomorrow.
So
Well, we should-
Disney's all about it, but Anaheim's just gonna shut it down.
We'll see
Maybe.
in November.
Well, we should
Rock
we
the
should
boat.
do a future discussion where we talk about what our ideas would be for a new and improved Downtown Disney.
Ooh,
Do one of our armchair Imagineering talks.
there we go.
Yeah, that would be good. I think, like Melissa says, after we have a little bit more decisions have been made essentially after the election, because those 3 open seats really could change the entire visual of Downtown Disney, because who knows, those 3 new seats could determine whether that hotel does end up going up. Right now, the stance by Disney is we're not doing it because they weren't going to receive some of the incentives that
Right.
were originally set up back in 2015. The TLDR about it is that this entire thing started because Disney wanted to push the hotel a few hundred feet forward so that it connected more with the Downtown Disney area. But because their zoning had it set to be built several hundred feet back, they said, well, you moved the location, and so now you don't qualify for all these subsidies. Elected officials in Anaheim didn't like that Disney was receiving all of these incentives. Disney is the biggest tourist attraction pull in Anaheim.
Yeah.
They don't have anything like that in the entire city. Even after this entire incentive program was set, Disney would get a rebate or like a refund from the city because of how much they were spending to build these hotels ground up. The city was still going to be making millions and billions of dollars from this in additional taxes, and it was going to generate all sorts of jobs for Anaheim. It was just going to increase the amount of money being spent. If you have a luxury hotel, most of the people that stay in luxury hotels, like aside from the couple that exist now, you have the Disneyland Hotel and then you have the Grand Californian. But then the two nearest ones to the area are in Huntington Beach and in Newport Beach. So if you had another one that was close to downtown Disney, a lot more money is going to funnel into the businesses at downtown Disney. I mean, I hate to say it and I hate to take a side on this one, but I feel like Anaheim is the one losing out on this. Like, I get what they were trying to do, but it's not Disney that's going to lose out because they'll funnel their money into adding more attractions, into expanding the park into the small area they have left. How this will affect building permits for them in the future is still yet to be seen, but if they don't funnel it into hotels, they'll just funnel it into the parks. But the idea, like, that you guys were talking about more eateries, I agree, because after Tortilla Joe's, that side of downtown Disney's just dead. There's, like, nothing there. If I didn't have to go over there to get on the monorail to get back into the park, I probably wouldn't even go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe they should build a larger tiki-inspired restaurant where Rainforest Cafe is.
Heck yeah.
That's
You know
one
what I
big
mean?
tiki.
That'd be great.
That
You
would
can
be
have your
fun.
Polynesian dancers. You can incorporate a little bit what we used to see next to the Tiki Room in the Polynesian area. You know, the show that they used to have?
Oh, yeah.
Tahiti
Like,
and
what if
Terry?
you
Yeah.
brought that out of the park and you just made it into that restaurant? Like you said, it's big enough to house some dancers. You got the shows. You already kind of got a theme that you can work with, just a little bit of restructuring to make it tiki-fied instead of, you know, pyramidified. I think it's good. I think
But
you
then
guys
you'd
have
still
some
have
great
Trader
ideas
Sam's?
here. Yeah, you would still have Trader Sam's.
There's never too much tiki, VJ.
And then Tropical Hideaway too. I don't know.
Heck yeah.
But most people
I don't
can't
think
get
they would
into
do it,
Tropical
man.
Hideaway.
Thinking about like when they have their tiki day, I mean, these places get so filled up that any other space would be so welcomed.
Yeah.
I mean, just to accommodate that, things like that.
And then they could sell more Disney things that are tiki.
Yeah,
tiki
why
mugs.
not?
Every one of the
Limited tiki
hitchhiking
mugs.
ghosts. A Madame Leota tiki cup.
A new mug every month.
Ooh. Tiki Mug of the Month Club.
Oh, there we
Nice.
go. Okay. Here's an idea.
I'm sure a bunch
lot
of
of
people that are
3D
into the
printing.
tiki culture were like, what? That's a thing? No, it's not. But maybe we can start one.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I like that idea, Gavin. I think if we have our own armchair Imagineering session for downtown Disney, it would be super cool, especially for that side of it. And like you said, VJ, with the parking lot connecting, or the new structure connecting to downtown Disney with the bridge, who knows? They may not even need the bridge after this. Because I think the bridge was needed because of the hotel that was going to take up that area. Like, now it could just be walk-in. Like, that could be
Right.
now the new entrance to downtown Disney instead of in between where the Espen Zone and Rainforest Cafe were. Right?
Oh my.
Did you just say that?
The what?
The way that you pronounce
The,
ESPN.
the
you just-
Espen Zone?
Yeah, he was doing
That's what
the
it's
blended
called.
way.
It's a restaurant. It's the
Oh,
Espen
okay.
Zone. All right, guys, before we continue, I want to send a quick shout out to somebody. I don't know if you guys can hear. Wait, there it is.
Uh-oh.
That sound means we have a brand new fairy godparent.
Nice.
Yay!
So, quick shout out to Eddie, who became our fairy godparent this last week. Thank you so much, Eddie, for joining the FGP Squad. If you guys don't know what the FGP Squad is, we like to call them our podcast fairy godparents. They gave themselves the name FGP Squad. If you guys want more information on how you can become part of the FGP Squad, head on over to podketeers.com/FGP. You'll find a little bit about what the FGP Squad is, a link to sign up. You can become a member for as little as $1 a month, but for a contribution of at least $5 monthly, you also get the exclusive Fairy Godparent button as a thank you for your support. I think this is a really good time to tell you guys that as part of the tiers that we've been working on for Patreon, I've been doing a lot of thinking about this, and you guys know that one of the funnest things that we do on Instagram are the birthday shout outs.
Uh-huh.
And I have a lot of fun with the birthday shout outs. Like, I think every year they've gotten progressively cooler looking. But the template that we use now to wish him a happy birthday, I kind of like that one, and I want to use it next year again. Like, I might change the colors a little bit, but I like it. It's pretty magical. And so from now on, anyone that's a fairy godparent from at least that $1, giving us $1 monthly on Patreon, will get the birthday shout out on our Instagram page. As you know, with the addition of Instagram stories, we have a different way of shouting people out now. So if you signed up for the birthday shout out list, as of next year, if you're not a fairy godparent, your birthday shout out will be in an Instagram story. But if you're part of the FGP squad, your birthday shout out will be on our main Instagram page, Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff going forward. So
Nice.
It's just a small, thank you for those people that are part of the FGP squad, so we can shout them out in additional ways. That change is going to be happening very soon. If you guys are part of the FGP squad and haven't sent me your birthday, please send me an email to comments@podketeers.com so we can notate it, because January 1st, that's going into effect. And it doesn't mean you can't sign up for the birthday shout out list. It just means that if you're not part of the FGP squad, it'll be in an Instagram story and available for 24 hours. But if you're part of the FGP squad, your birthday shout out will live on the Instagram page. So
Forever.
that's one of the big changes. That's happening to our Patreon. Again, thank you to everyone on the FGP squad. You guys are amazing, and yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Switching gears a little bit, this week we got treated to a sneak peek of the new live action Aladdin trailer. Did you guys get a chance to see it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yes.
Yes, I did.
Yep.
What did we think? I think you blew out the speaker.
I mean, is that an appropriate way to say it?
Sorry for everybody at their cubicles listening right now.
Yeah. You should do like a sound warning.
I'll make sure I put it out in a little
intro.
alert on everybody's
Yeah.
phone that it's coming.
Oh my goodness.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it was crazy that Disney showed the movie poster first, and then, I mean, I saw it by Will Smith's tweet with the movie poster saying like, "Oh, I can't wait for you guys to see me blue." And I was like, "Oh, I got super excited for it." And then the trailer came out. I didn't even know the trailer was coming out, but that trailer, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, the music was so good. I think that was like my favorite part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
To be honest, though, the animation at the very, very end with him grabbing the lamp, it was a little like there's something a little off. I don't know if it was just me seeing. I thought the Cave Wonders was great, like all the gold was great, but then for him grabbing the lamp, there was something a little off. I don't know what it is exactly. Did anybody else get that, or was
No,
it
I
like
didn't
perfect
notice
for
that.
them?
No.
I need to watch it again.
I'm chalking it up to it's still in development and they're still
Sure.
editing, and it's not fully there yet. I think that the completed version is just going to look 10 times better.
Right.
I agree. Of all the live action remakes so far, and I mean, this is only going off the trailer, it feels like this is going to be even more true to the animated version than what I felt Beauty and the Beast was compared to what Cinderella was.
Right.
I agree with you, AJ. The music, so good. I love it. Ah!
Epic.
What did you think of the Cave of Wonders?
It looked really
How they
good.
changed it up a little, why he didn't talk,
The fact that Frank Welker is back
right?
to do this that made me excited.
Mm-hmm.
That did. I will admit I was really hesitant because I was afraid because it's Aladdin. I mean, it's such a beloved film, so I was really scared to see it, but I did see it, and seeing the Cave of Wonders was like, all right, I'm good. This is gonna be we're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the dialogue we were hearing from the cave wasn't necessarily what we would be hearing when we saw that exact little shot that we saw. So I'm not convinced that the cave won't talk, like move his mouth, because I feel like, we just saw that little glimpse of, one kind of faraway shot and then one kind of up close shot and then somebody walking into the cave. And that whole time the cave is delivering that line.
Right.
And I feel like I feel like maybe they just haven't revealed how that cave is going to be animated. I can't see them not animating that cave. I really can't.
Yeah.
I mean, that is one of the most iconic things about the film. And since they're apparently going for a true recreation of it in live action, I just think they have to. I will say I was super disappointed that we only get to see Aladdin and then like the back of Iago.
Yeah.
Like the fact that we didn't even get a little major look moment at the end with the genie, like something with the genie. Because to me,
that would have broke
like,
the internet.
The genie is one of the most iconic characters in the entire Disney canon, and like that's what it's all about. It's all about the genie, and man, I wanted to see him so bad,
but
bad.
See, this is exactly what they wanted.
Yeah, that's true. It's a tease, which is what it's supposed to be. But honestly, I'm on record with how I feel about the live action remakes. But I also made it one of my New Year's resolutions to give them all a fair chance. So I'm going to carry that into 2019 and give this one a fair chance, of course. But hearing the music, like AJ mentioned, oh my gosh, it really just made me want to pop in the animated film and watch it because it's perfect.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know why we need a new version of it because it's already perfect. But it did get me in the Aladdin feels. For sure.
All the feels.
Yeah.
Totes.
I'm just excited to see when they escape the Cave of Wonders. That's the one thing I wanted to see as a kid. Is I want to see this in 3D so bad.
That would be a
and
great
we are getting the flying
too.
Carpet.
Oh my gosh.
This is like I kind of imagine the scene of them escaping the Cave of Wonders, kind of like the Avatar ride. Like I feel like it's going to be very similar, where you're just kind of flying around.
Imagine this in 4D. Oh my god. We're getting ahead of ourselves right now.
Yeah.
What are they sandblasting you at the same time?
Yes. Yes.
But the detail in that lamp, that was how the handle was a snake. Did you guys notice that?
I didn't notice that.
And the movie poster,
Gotta watch
it's a
it
snake.
again.
Yeah.
I didn't pay that
cool.
close attention to
Mhm.
it. That's
Curves.
awesome. Our buddy Skylar from the Diz Insider made a good point. He posted on Instagram, Disney's been doing a really good job with these posters that have a single item. Going all the way back to Cinderella, you had the glass slipper and nothing more in the poster. And then you got to Beauty and the Beast, and all you had was the rose. With this one, all you had was the lamp. So for all of these live action remakes, the posters have been so enticing. They've done such a great job with it, not overloading it with a whole bunch of junk in the background. It was a detail that I didn't really catch on to until I saw all of the posters. So quick shout out to our buddy Skylar over at the Diz Insider. If you guys want news on movies, Disney movies in particular, they do a really great job of covering all of that stuff. We'll put a link in the blog post for the episode, podketeers.com/226. I love seeing them all together like that. It was just one of those details that I wish I had caught on to before.
Okay, question for you guys then. If that tradition holds, what will the Mulan poster be?
The sword.
Just the sword? You think
Just
that's
the sword.
enough enough?
Do you don't think it's gonna be her hairpin?
I thought the hairpin.
I thought it was
First
gonna be the
thought.
sword
See?
and then hair on the.
Oh,
Mushu.
It may just be Mushu.
Mushu and Stone.
Stony.
Or the little cricket cage?
Yes, that could be good.
That's the thing. Like with Mulan, I don't know if they can get away with it because I don't think there's any single iconic thing like those other movies.
yeah.
It's
I
probably
think
just.
it would have to be
It's
the
probably gonna be a dragon.
sword. Oh.
Maybe Mushu.
I think Mushu would probably be the best. Now that I think about it,
But then it's not really about Mushu.
right?
Yeah.
Like every one, the story revolves around the item that's there.
Oh, maybe it's one of maybe the helmet.
Oh, the helmet would be a good one.
Yeah.
I feel like they wouldn't do that though.
Maybe
I
What-
think Hazen's right. I think it's gonna be the sword.
It could be.
But what? Okay, then. But here's the thing. What are you gonna do for Sword in the Stone?
A sword and a stone.
Oh, snap.
But you can't have two swords.
They're totally different. One is a medieval sword, and the other one's like
Excalibur,
a samurai
one's a
sword.
samurai sword.
Yeah.
This is actually
you can't.
hilarious because when I did my painting 2 years ago for the Pirates of the Caribbean 50th anniversary, and I hid all of those Disney objects in that one painting, two of the objects were the sword from Sword in the Stone and Mulan's sword. People had the hardest time figuring out what swords they went to. Because there are several swords in the Disney catalog, and knowing exactly what they look like, I mean, that's hard, you know? Like, it's not as unique as something like Jafar's staff. Like, you can pick that out like that, you know? So I think it's funny that we brought up those two swords here. And so doing that in a poster, if it didn't say the word Mulan, you wouldn't know what it was. But if you had the lamp from Aladdin, you know it's Aladdin. And if you had the shoe from Cinderella, you know it's Cinderella without the titles. But with Mulan, you would have to have the word Mulan above it for you to know what it is.
I think it's
true.
going to be a golden dragon. I mean, what other movie has a gold dragon?
Like a golden Mushu?
A golden Mushu, like the one in her poster, like the long...
Oh,
You know,
okay, I can see
you know which one I'm
that.
talking about?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like, oh.
Back to the Aladdin poster, though. I love how it says "choose wisely" at the bottom of it. That was so good.
Yeah.
Okay, how many
Makes me more
times have you,
excited.
like, looked at this?
I don't know.
He was like-
I'm just saying. I just scanned the whole thing, and
He's
it's
like,
the
"Oh, and
only
then
thing you
if you
read
look
on there.
really
It says "choose
close-
wisely."
If you look really close on the left-hand side, you'll see that there's a different color than...
Yeah, there is. It's more of a bronze
Oh,
than
wow.
gold.
Like it's a slightly different hue.
Wow.
You
Wow.
can tell
A
it was
reddish
a 3-point
hue.
lighting system.
But yeah, excited for me.
I can tell.
I have to admit, I'm actually excited too. I hope
Are
it's
we
not Prince of Persia. I hope it's really good.
Hey, so that actually reminds me, didn't you and your wife, Charlie, recently watch the live version of the Haunted Mansion?
Geez, we actually did. We sat down and watched it, and I hadn't seen it since it was in the theater in 2003, I believe. And this was Charlie's very first viewing. As you may or may not know, she's fairly new to the Disney fandom, especially the park side of things. So she only last year became aware of what the Haunted Mansion attraction was in the first place. So we're trying to brainstorm ideas for my Haunted Mansion 50th anniversary piece, which I'm going to be creating. And so she thought, well, let's watch the movie. Maybe we can get some inspiration. And I thought, it's a stupid idea, but let's do it. So we did. We found it streaming, or we rented it. I don't remember. But if we rented it, that was $3 down the drain. But anyway.
You should have asked me, dude. I got the DVD.
Yeah, right? We should have. But yeah, we watched it, and I think she's here, so maybe we can get her to say a few words about it.
All right, let's bring her on.
All right. Here she is.
And now,
Take it away, Charlie.
Special guest Charlie.
Hey, hey, hey.
Charlie, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
How are you?
Not
Hey,
too
Charlie.
shabby. How about you? Hey.
hola.
You know, we're hanging in there. We're talking about Disney live-action remakes, and it came to our attention recently that you saw The Haunted Mansion with Eddie Murphy.
I did, yes.
I mean, what do you think of the Disney live-action remakes, first of all? Like, have you seen Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, and all these other ones?
I didn't see Cinderella. I did see Beauty and the Beast. I would say I enjoyed it mildly. I come to Disney movies, the animated movies at least, if they are severe comedy or a severe musical. And I have no middle ground. Love the music in Beauty and the Beast, and so I was excited to see it. And yeah, it was good. There were some scenes that I enjoyed. I probably won't rewatch it, so how good could I have found it? Anyway, I said all that to say this. I like the musical ones a lot, and that's basically what I get from Disney. All of you are very, very passionate about Disney and in love with all things Disney. I have things that I am that way about as well, and so they have the ability to disappoint me greatly when other people would be like, it wasn't that bad. That's how I feel about like the Haunted Mansion movie. I knew what I was walking into. It's got a few years on it. It was starring Eddie Murphy. I wasn't expecting a great deal, and so did I enjoy it? Yeah, I did. I got, the few Haunted Mansion references that I was able to spot out. The Dapper Dans as the busts. Oh, that made the movie for me. It was an utter delight. And because I have no bar for Disney, they can't really disappoint me. I'm not as emotionally and mentally and physically and intellectually invested as some people might be. I was able to take the movie at face value and go, that was cute.
That's actually great to hear because over the years, I mean, I've gone on record as saying that I hated the film, but I hated it for a really long time because I'm very passionate about the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
As one of my favorite attractions, the bar is super high for me when it comes to the products that go along with the mansion itself. With that said, though, a year or so ago, I re-saw the film. And when I watched it again, I had a totally different take on it this time. I appreciated the film for what Disney was trying to do at the time and the audience that they were catering to. And obviously, when you cast somebody like Eddie Murphy, you're not going for that Dan Stevens lead role, right? You're going for Eddie Murphy.
Right.
And so when I put
me a
myself
second
in
to place Dan Stevens, by the way. He's Beast, right?
yes.
Okay.
Yes. And so with that said, I was able to understand why there was so many people that were younger than me that aren't as passionate about Disney that just thought, oh, it's a fine film. It's really great. It was funny. It was super enjoyable. Once I shifted out of my own mindset, I was able to enjoy it the second time around. And to hear you say that validates that for me because I thought I was just going soft on the Haunted Mansion movie. But now that I hear you say that, I feel a little bit better about my decision about giving it that opportunity again because the second time around, it wasn't that bad. Like, I agree with you. I actually enjoyed it the second time around, but that's because I took myself out of my own mind and said, okay, I'm just going to watch this as a moviegoer. I'm not going to nitpick this as a Disney fan.
I don't think anybody would come to the table being like, greatest film of all time.
No, I agree.
In no way, shape, or form.
It's not Oscar worthy.
It's really not. And now that I've gone to the parks more, and I too have affinity for Haunted Mansion, especially the aesthetics. Singularly the aesthetics, I guess I would say. I mean, I like the faster rides, but the aesthetics of it I'm obsessed with. I wanted certain things in the movie that didn't ultimately make it, but it's in that weird spot of like, well, and the same weird spot they were when they were creating the Haunted Mansion. It's like, do you make this goofy or do you make it truly scary? Yeah. Obviously, Disney film with their intended audience, they weren't gonna make it super scary. Yeah. So I knew it was probably gonna be a goofy type of movie, and all the little small Haunted Mansion plugs, being the bride or the wallpaper or the busts or anything like that. I got a little spark of joy out of like, oh yeah, cool, let's in the ride. Yeah, I know that. I know that. Whereas I could totally understand somebody who, like you, that has loved Haunted Mansion for so long. That's the thing. If you were getting a Haunted Mansion movie today in 2018, I feel like you could expect more than what that movie was.
Oh, yeah.
And should. It's kind of, the journey you went on kind of actually reminds me of Gavin, like, when he came home from seeing Frozen in the theater, and I was like, was it good? And he was like, no. And I was like, oh, really? Why? And he was like, the animated face is this, and steps backward here, blah, blah, blah. Just certain things that I think he was so in shock. He was expecting like them to like constantly go up and up in the quality level.
Yeah.
And so I heard that, and then a lot of his Disney friends were just like, oh, Frozen, blah, blah, blah. And then he mentioned the birds wearing little boater hats. And that's when I sat down and I watched it, and I loved it immensely. And that was it. That's all Frozen was in my life. Whereas anytime 2 or more Disney heads are gathered, a discussion of Frozen and how it just is too much comes up. But Gavin then got to watch it with me a second time. And then I think he watched it a third time with somebody else. And as he watched it more, he was kind of able to just sit back and kind of just enjoy it. I'm like, don't think about like the plot. Don't think about their like stiff faces. Don't think about, just like laugh at Olaf's jokes and like listen to music and do that. And he said, he has begrudgingly said he likes it more than he did before. So it's kind of like, you know, he just has that. I was really shocked at the kind of response of Frozen as I meet more Disney people.
Yeah, Frozen is an anomaly for Disney because it's either you absolutely hate it or you absolutely love it for most people. And there's very few that will fall in the middle that could appreciate it for the musical that it was. And especially when they did Olaf's Frozen Adventure, the movie long before the movie. Remember the 20-minute short, which was essentially its own mini Frozen film?
It wasn't that bad.
It actually wasn't that bad. I mean, when I first saw it, I just felt this was way too long to open another film. They should have just released it as a Christmas special or something. A lot of people's criticism was there was too many songs. They were trying to squeeze this too much. And I enjoyed all of the songs in it. And the more I've seen it again since, and I hear myself humming the songs from that short, which I generally don't do. I have caught myself doing that, thinking like, I must have enjoyed that way more than I thought, or else I wouldn't be humming this tune. You know, so yeah, I'm glad I'm getting a chance to revisit some of these films and seeing them with different eyes. You know, trying to analyze them the way that a non-Disney fan would, or, you know, a child watching it for the very first time, for instance. Like, we fall in love with these films that, who knows, like, our kids might end up hating one day. You know,
definitely.
I love Aladdin. I love Beauty and the Beast. I love Little Mermaid. But who knows if our kids are going to love them?
They don't listen to the same music as we do, so
yeah,
it makes sense. They won't watch the same movies. And I like that you guys like. I like the critical aspect. You've got the head and the heart whenever you review something and evaluate something that Disney has put out. And I think with all the time and the money and emotion you guys put into it, you are fully allowed to have these very strong feelings one way or the other. So I like that there's like a more analytical side where it's like, was this a good film? And the answer might be no, but if the other question is, did we have a good time? It's like, oh yeah, we really did. That was blast.
Yeah.
That's
awesome. Thank you. We appreciate
You're very welcome.
that.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming on, Charlie. We appreciate it.
Okay, here's Gavin.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
How many dirty things did she say about me?
Well, we know that you sleep with an Elsa doll now.
And you don't let it go.
And Hazen doesn't want you. He wants Charlie on the podcast.
I
That
told
makes
Charlie
sense.
that she's hired.
She's a lot more witty than I am.
That's awesome. Yeah, you know, I'm glad that we had a chance to hear her perspective on it, because I think we're so ingrained in the Disney culture that we become a lot more critical about the things that are put out. But, you know, Charlie made a good point. Was it the best thing ever? Maybe not. But did you have fun? That's the question we don't always ask ourselves, right? And especially now, like I said, with Olaf's Frozen Adventure, I find myself humming those songs all the time, and there's obviously a reason for it, right?
Just
They
don't
were
hum it
catchy
right
enough
now.
for me to want to sing them or to hum them while I'm doing something. And was it a super long short? Yeah, it was. Like 3 times longer than it needed to be. But ultimately, it was a pretty good animated short, which could have been its own Christmas special. But, I mean, now we're harping on it.
But don't
now we're
you-
shifting back into that zone.
But
So,
don't you guys have that movie, though, that you hated when you first saw and then it actually grew on you? And
Mention.
it's probably one of your favorite movies. Like for Zoolander, for me, I'm totally non-Disney, but Zoolander, I hated the first time I saw it. I was like, this is... And I think I was probably just in a bad mood. And then it's one of my favorite all-time movies. I could quote that thing all day long, you know? But
Delict.
Yeah. That was totally me and Maleficent.
Oh, really?
I didn't like it for a long time, and I had to rewatch it. And it took me the third time to be like, okay, I could deal with this film. It's not that bad. I was just being really, really, really critical over it.
You were being
'Cause
that
I
Disney
love
fan.
Sleeping Beauty. Yeah, well, Maleficent's
She's not even
amazing, so-
evil.
Yeah, I was like, oh. But there's a part 2, so
Well,
I'll go see it.
what are
Where
your
she's even less evil.
No,
What are you
I don't
hoping
want the
for part
BFF
2?
anymore.
what are your hopes for part 2?
That she goes back to wanting to kill Aurora.
Not me. I hope they
mean,
show her at the
that's
soup
her.
kitchen handing out meals for the poor.
She
No,
gets
they're
her
gonna
wings
color
They
each
back.
really
other's
show the lighter
toenails.
side of Maleficent. It's like she may have some hate, but ultimately she's a really good person.
She runs a AA session for other Disney villains.
What's the line from Wreck-It Ralph? Where it's
Right.
like, I am a bad guy, and that is
That's-
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's okay.
That's funny. All right. Well, on that note about amazing Disney live-action features, now it's time to say goodbye to all our listeners. POD
Listen every Wednesday.
KET
Why? Because there's a new episode.
Wow.
double ERS. And on that note, I think it's time to
yeah.
end the episode.
Wow.
So before we do, I just want to remind you that a really great way to help out the podcast is the next time that you need to buy something on Amazon, start that trip by going to podketeers.com/Amazon. Why? Because we have a huge Amazon button that you can click on. Next time you need to make a purchase, just click on that big Amazon button. It'll take you over to Amazon using our special link, and Amazon will give us a small commission from that purchase as a thank you for mentioning them on the podcast. And we just want to send a quick thank you to all of you that are currently using our link. Again, if you want more information about becoming part of the FGP Squad, podketeers.com/FGP. If you want to connect with any of us and you want to follow us on any of our social networks, head on over to podketeers.com/team for more information. And that's it, guys. I'm going to see if I can head down to Downtown Disney and catch the West Beat Sings people as the... What are they called when they're in Halloween mode?
Carolers?
Yes, the Scarolers. I want to go see the Scarolers at Downtown Disney. So I don't know if I'll make it. It all depends on whether or not Mickey and Friends has parking available. But we'll see. Because it seems to run out quite frequently. So,
Yeah.
until next week, here is to Beers, Cheers, and Mickey Ears. Have a fantastic week, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Made you look.
Hurry back.